Good evening, viewers. Thanks for checking out my channel. This is just a quick unboxing video. Not even really that. I'm just going to open the box up, take a look at what's inside for this new kit that I bought yesterday. This is the HobbyBoss TBF 1C Avenger in 1/48 scale. Before I talk about the kit, it's a really it's a very strange coincidence happened yesterday. So the sun was out. I had a weekend off where I didn't have my daughter. My daughter was with her mum, and I thought I'll go to the beach. I'll take my metal detector with me. I'll spend some time on the beach, do a bit of beach combing, chill out, have a barbecue. And there's a really nice beach which is not too far away from me in a place called Porthmadog, or Porthmadog, depending on how you pronounce it, which is on the North Wales. Well, it's on the coast, kind of in the North Wales area, but it's on the west coast of Wales, but right at the north end by Anglesey, by Carnarvon. Beautiful little place, just a very small little town. It barely even qualifies as a town. It's got a really nice beach there called Black Rock Sands, which is where I spent many days out with my parents when I was a kid. But as well as having a nice little town and a lovely beach, they've also got a cracking little model shop. There's a shop there called Porthmadog Models that I discovered last year, almost by accident. I went there on holiday, and as it happens, I spent a lot of time in the model shop and bought quite a few models, and it's just a really nice family-owned model shop. The guy that runs it is really good, knowledgeable, but really friendly, happy to talk and chat about models. He's clearly a fan of the hobby. He's not, I mean, obviously he does it for a living, but it's not just about the business. He's a modeler himself. He loves he loves kits, and you can tell that from the way he runs his store and the way that he interacts with his customers. It's not about how much stuff can he sell you. He really wants to make sure you have a model you enjoy and that you're getting the right product. And yeah, I can't recommend the place highly enough in this day and age where local model shops seem to be disappearing at a very alarming rate. If anybody's ever in the area, it's Porthmadog Models. If I can find the website, I'll put a link in the video. Pay him a visit, give him some business, because it's a great little place, and I hope it stays there for a long time. But onto the kit. So this is the kit. Back at the start of the video, I said there was a strange coincidence. So I bought this kit yesterday morning. I drove to Porthmadog. I got there about midday. Had a browse around the shop for about an hour. Decided to get myself this kit. This is a bit of a miracle. It's the only kit I bought. It's not often I go in there and just buy one, but I decided to show a bit of restraint yesterday, and we came out with the one. No real agenda behind why I bought this one. I quite like obviously I like the era, but there were a lot of World War II aircraft. It's an interesting plane. It's not one, I mean, it's not a rare one to see, but you don't see, it's not the usual suspect. It's not a Spitfire, it's not an ME-109. It's, a bit more unusual. I just thought it was interesting, so I picked it up. I look forward to starting to build it at some point. It was only when I got home and I started watching the news that I realised that yesterday, around about the same time that I was buying the kit, there was an air show going on. Well, maybe not the exact same time, but yesterday there was an air show in Cocoa Beach in Florida, and there was a display, and it featured somebody flying a Avenger, much like the one in the kit, which, if you've been watching the news, you will see that they had a mechanical failure on the aircraft, and the guy flying the plane had to ditch it in the ocean. So he landed it in the waves, in the surf, maybe, I don't know, maybe 20-30 yards offshore, in the middle of a really busy public beach. Managed to avoid hitting any civilians. Honestly, didn't seem to do too much damage to the aircraft either, other than obviously the feathering of the propeller. But beyond that, it was about as good a water landing as you can expect. So hats off to that guy. Clearly got some skills, and I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad everybody was okay at the scene. Nobody was injured. All too often when things go wrong at air shows, there's casualties, and then people start questioning the validity and the need for air shows when we all love them, obviously. But I just thought it was a really odd coincidence that I just went through every kit in that model shop. This is the one I bought yesterday, and then one goes and crashes a few hours later. But enough about that. Now a bit more onto the kit itself. So what do we know about the Avenger? It's a torpedo bomber. First flew in 1941ish, just in time to enter service in the US Navy in time for the Battle of Midway in 1942. I believe it was built in massive numbers throughout the war. I think it was also used by the Royal Navy as well, so it wasn't just a US plane. Obviously, it was built by the US, but we used it in the Royal Navy as well. I like it a lot. It's interesting. It's not your normal. It makes me think about the Defiant with the rear turret on it. It's just a nice aircraft. Let's take a look in the box. I mean, the first thing you can probably tell is it's a massive box. You wouldn't have thought it would be such a big box for a World War II aircraft. It's not like we're building a bomber here. But let's take a look what's inside. Okay, so first looking at the schemes, looks like we've got what have we got there? We've got 3 schemes. So we've got the TBF 1 BUNO 380 VT8 from June 1942. That is your classic. Is that sea grey on the top and then light grey on the bottom? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, grey, blue, and light grey. Okay. And we've also got the Avenger Training Squadron 1943 S8. Similar paint scheme, a little bit of difference in the decals by the looks of it. It's got the red outline on the US insignia rather than the traditional way of looking at it. And then there's also the one at the bottom there, the third one, the VC-58 USS Block Island, 11th of January 1944. If I'm honest, I kind of like the third option. It's a bit more unusual. Not often you get a chance to paint an aeroplane white. I recently did a TSR2, which I got to paint that all white. That was interesting. So I think I might end up going for this one. I'll probably go back and forth on this a few times yet, but I like the look of that one. I think that should be interesting. One thing that I'm thinking about this aeroplane, looking at the scheme here, is the number of panes in the cockpit canopy. It's going to be a bit of a nightmare to mask that off before painting it. But we'll see how we go. Okay. The instructions. Okay. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 sprues. Looks like 3 of them are clear. That should be fun. Okay, so starts with the engine and the cockpit by the looks of it. Okay. Okay. I think one thing that's clear here is I've not done too many HobbyBoss kits, but I have done 1 or 2. The instructions are fantastic. The instructions are really, really good quality. I mean, they're not flashy. There's no, it's not glossy color pictures, but the detail level is extremely good. It seems to explain very clearly how everything goes together. One thing I can't stand is when you get a really great kit, very complex, but then you get like a half-arsed couple of little diagrams, instructions that really combines about 12 steps into one picture, and then you can't make head nor tail of what you're supposed to do. Okay, so that all looks good. Decal options. there's not going to be too much on there, as you can imagine, with any World War II aircraft. Really, they weren't overdoing the markings on them. Not like you see with some of the modern fighter jets, where you spend 90% of your build time putting decals on. It does appear to be a little break on one of the decals there. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit disappointing, considering that this is a brand new kit. Don't know whether that's intentional or not. It almost looks in fact, my first thought is that that's a mistake, but if you look very closely at this, you can see that the separate piece, the piece that's apparently broken off, does have a film edge around it. So I do think that's intentional. I'm not quite sure why they would have that on there like that, but that does appear to have been designed that way. Okay, that's another bit interesting. I haven't seen that before. Anybody's got any understanding of why that might appear that way, or anything to explain that? I'd be very curious to hear if you've seen that before on any of the kits. In fact, we've got the same thing on the 8Ti here as well. It's very odd. Oh, I thought we've got the same thing on this one as well. Very strange. That is a first. I should do a bit of digging on that and see if I can find out what that is. Anyway, let's move on to the sprues. So, one thing I will say about HobbyBoss kits, that the ones I've done in the past, there's a bit of a double-edged sword to them, right? They're never particularly complicated to build. One of the things I sometimes pull my hair out with Airfix kits is that you seem to spend, I don't know, you seem to spend too much time on things like putting together the interior of a cockpit, cutting out 13 or 14 different little pieces that all glue together to then have a chair sit on top of them. Give you 1,001 ways to do it, a little bit incorrect, and then it doesn't fit into the cockpit properly. Some people will like that. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm all for complexity in a kit, but sometimes it just feels like it's for the sake of it, so that they can say that there's more parts in the kit. And I'm not a big fan of that. If it's necessary, by all means, great. Let's have some separate pieces for it. But sometimes it's clearly just overkill, and it isn't required. HobbyBoss, in my experience, I haven't come across one yet where I can say they've done that. Sometimes they're a little bit overly simplistic on the build. Maybe that's to their detriment at times in terms of the enjoyment of the build process. But at the same time, what you do always find, as far as I'm in the ones I've done myself anyway, the ones I've looked at, is they are always extremely well molded, and they've got great levels of detail on. I can see that the detail level on the fuselage here is really great. It's individual rivets down the entire body. Looks great. Looks really nice. So there we go. There are the wings. Again, same thing again, lots of detail. Gonna look really, really good if you put a really nice wash over it to accentuate the detail. It's gonna look fab. So look at these. We've got some rockets and some bombs and some drop tanks, so fuel tanks as well. All looks really good. No flash anywhere that I can see so far. I hate flash. Some various pieces. They've even gone to the trouble of covering certain parts in foam. I guess there's some delicate pieces in there. Maybe overdoing it slightly, but you can't fault being cautious, making sure that it gets to you in good condition. No complaints in that regard. Here we have a torpedo, some additional parts of the landing gear. Just lots of little pieces here, so there's plenty of detail. Got some of the guns. I guess that's to go in the rear turret. Okay, and then we have, let's have a look. We've got the ailerons and flaps. Again, same theme here, all very nicely detailed. And then here is looks to be mostly the undercarriage, the wheels, the engine as well. All looks great. And then at the end here is just the clear parts. Okay, so we've got 3 clear parts. There is the tail gunner. It's the canopy, comes in. I'm not going to lie, that's a worrying number of separate pieces. I'm not normally too great at assembling cockpits, but we'll see how we get on with that. Nicely detailed though, even along the cockpit has riveting. That's great. And there's just some extra clear parts as well. Running lights, things like that. Okay, so thoughts on the kit? I'm happy. I mean, it wasn't the cheapest kit. It was, I think I paid £30 for it. So, you know, I expected a decent quality kit for that. I think that's what we've got. It's going to make up a very nice aircraft, as long as I don't mess it up. Which is a distinct possibility, I'm not going to lie. That does happen more than I'd like. When it comes around to building it, I will do a build video at some point, and I'll pop it on YouTube alongside this one. Anybody's got any queries about it, anything they'd like to know about the kit, if I can help, I will. If you've got any other questions, just in general, modelling based, I don't profess to be an expert on anything, but if I've done it, or if I've tried to do it, or if I've made a mess of it, if I know someone that does it better than me, which is a more likely scenario, I will try and find out and let you know. So yeah, love to hear from you. But if nothing else, thanks for watching. Have a good well, it's a weekend at the moment, but who knows when you'll be watching this, so enjoy your modelling time, and yeah, thanks very much.